Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Giorgia Epicoco, and I work within the Agro-industries and Skills Development Division at the United Nations Industrial Development Organization. I joined UNIDO in 2016, but it's only in January 2020 that I joined this fantastic global team and program called the LKDF. The LKDF stands for the Learning and Knowledge Development Facility. And it's a global program focusing on the on-demand-oriented industrial skills development programs, working towards reducing the skills mismatch. Yes, I actually joined exactly right before the outbreak of the COVID-19 global pandemic, when all of a sudden the world was locking down, industries stopped their production lines, and businesses closed. So how do you think this could have affected, the global skill job mismatch problem? Do you think it has worsened? Do you think it hasn't changed at all? So today we will try to talking about the challenges related to the skill mismatch, the possible solutions, what the LKDF has to offer, what we are achieving so far, and what we would like to achieve moving forward in a future-proof skills landscape. So let me just take a moment to thank our ITCILO colleagues for their kind invitation to join this virtual skills fair. It's a great opportunity for us to introduce you to our work today, and we truly hope you will enjoy with us our LKDF journey. And please, if you have any questions, get them ready for us to answer them in a live Q&A session tomorrow, which we would like to host at 2:30 p.m. in the same platform, of course, 2:30 p.m. Central European Summer Time. So get your questions ready and leave them in the comment box below in our YouTube channel, or you can also send them through our email address, lkd-facility@unido.org. We will also leave the email address for your easy reference in the info box just here below. So as I said, we will be talking about this global issue and trying to give you some tools and insights on how we are addressing these issues and how we can do it all together. So the skills mismatch, do you know what that is? Well, last year, a study by the Boston Consulting Group actually revealed that a poorly addressed skill mismatch could soon affect 1.3 billion people worldwide. But do we know what this phenomenon implies? Well, the skill mismatch is basically a discrepancy between the skills needed by the market, so the employers, and the skills available in the market, so what the individuals have to offer. This means that education and training are not providing the skills demanded in the labor market, or that the economy does not create jobs that correspond to the skills of individuals. And do you know who is more impacted by such mismatch? Well, the Eurofund estimated that over-education and under-education are more common in the private compared to the public sector. So they have actually given us some figures, and it seems that a job skills mismatch exists for 58% of women and 52% of men in the private sector, while this affects 44% of women and 45% of men in the public sector. So only about half of the employed men and women have an occupation that matches their level of education. A higher proportion of women, though, around 36%, are overeducated for their job compared with men, which correspond to a 26%. While undereducation is more common among men, we are estimating around 25% compared to the 14% of women affected by undereducation. It is also worth noting that 1 in 5 young people globally are neither in employment nor in education and training, and 2 out of 3 are women. It is also estimated that 65% of children in primary school today will fill jobs that do not yet exist. Additionally, we have, of course, other challenges that are hampering the skill mismatch global issues, notably digitalization and climate change. They could both pose major threats to the labor market directly or indirectly, if not properly harnessed and taken advantage of to create more jobs. The International Labour Organization actually informed that while the transition to energy sustainability and a circular economy may create 100 million jobs, nearly another 80 million could be lost if reskilling and upskilling programs are not embraced to help current workers transition to the new jobs. So to address the skills challenge and reduce the mismatch, in 2012, UNIDO partnered with the Swedish International Development Cooperation Agency, better known as SIDA, and launched the LKDF. The LKDF has since become the meeting point for UNIDO's projects developing demand-oriented industrial skills development programs to share lessons learned, knowledge and best practices to better address the market needs while driving inclusive and sustainable industrial development. The LKDF promotes industrial skills development among young people in developing countries and economies in transition. We do support the establishment and upgrading of industrial training academies to help meet the labor market's increasing demand for skilled employees. And you may wonder how. Well, we believe that nothing can be done in isolation. So we join forces with the public, private, and development actors to design and scale up training centers in order to fill the skills gap. With our fantastic teams in the field and partners across sectors, we design and innovate training and curricula to equip young students with the demand-driven and future-proof skills to seize the opportunities created by industrial development and technological progress. Of course, our support and assistance to our project colleagues is not limited to partnership brokering, but it's also meant to support them throughout the process. So specifically for that, we have a monitoring system that systematically evaluates social, economic, and environmental impact of our programs to our beneficiary countries. It also provides the policymakers and the donor community with guidelines to demonstrate the cost effectiveness of the programs that we implement and justify their expansions to other countries or sectors. And we will get into that later on as well. Last but not least, we also highly focus on advocacy and communication activities, as well as looking to strengthen our convening and normative function. We all know that communication is already a key area to get mission across and achieving goals at scale, but especially now because of the COVID-19 global pandemic, of course, we see an increasing need for advocacy activities. If you're here, you might also know already that technical education and vocational training can be quite male-dominated, as well as certain industrial fields, of course. So thanks to our advocacy efforts, we can proudly say that the female participation in the male-dominated sectors that we work in has reached over 35% of female participation, yes. We'll also get into that later on as we talk about our contribution to the Sustainable Development Goals. But meanwhile, we also believe in the power of communication to grow a network of like-minded people and organizations. And for that, we're absolutely proud and happy to be here today to talk to you, engage with you, to see what other partnership opportunities are out there to make sure that the skill mismatch is reduced down to zero. So what is that we offer? We have a model for partnerships, which is called Public-Private Development Partnerships, PPDP model. For us, this is a way of delivering and funding public services with wider development impact. The investment, risks, responsibilities, and rewards are in fact shared between the public sector, the private sector, and a development partner. So, of course, I mean, the public-private partnership approach has been floating around for quite a while now. And it's based on the assumption that certain public goods can be delivered more efficiently and effectively by the private sector. So this model is not new as such. However, we with our partnership with SIDA, the Swedish Development Agency, we're adding this D, the development part, which stems partly from the Sustainable Development Goals, and which can only be realized with a strong commitment to global partnership and cooperation. So PPDPs are used in areas where poverty reduction cannot be achieved by separating private actors, the public sector, and development agencies, and where all these actors share a common goal. So to make a PPDP successful, it has to create benefits for all parties. So needless to say that we absolutely have SDG 17 at the core of our intervention. We know that development and sustainability of a modern TVET system capable of harnessing technological progress and addressing environmental threats can only be achieved if the dialogue between the government and private sector is effectively coordinated. Also, we absolutely think that a weak collaboration between the private sector and TVET centers can actually limit their capacity to offer curricula and programs capable of meeting labor market needs and future skills requirements. Finally, we do understand that limited financial investments and corporate commitment can be translated in an outdated and inadequate TVET systems. Hence, because of these perpetuated outdated system and mechanism surrounding the technical education and vocational training, young people do not perceive TVET as a driver of employment, entrepreneurship, or as having the capacity to promote equitable, inclusive, and sustainable growth. So to make our LKDF as successful as it is, since 2012, we have collaborated with over 50 partners to establish and upgrade approximately 15 training centers. We have cooperated with around 25 public sector stakeholders, 15 private companies, and 10 development agencies. We have training centers all over the world, including Ethiopia, Iraq, Liberia, Morocco, Uruguay, Zambia, South Africa, and counting. You can also see there we have Somalia. We are currently developing, starting the intervention in the DRC. So we are growing by the day. New projects are constantly being developed thanks to the evidence-based success we are proudly talking about today. So with a yearly intake of between 100 and 500 students and 20 to 100 trainers per TVET centers, we have already trained over 3,000 students and trainers. As a result of these projects, we, as already mentioned and witnessed before, we see constantly increase in female participation, while we have already estimated that 60% of our trainees have found a better jobs overall. I would actually now like to show you a video highlighting some of the key achievements from our PPDP projects toward the Agenda 2030 for Sustainable Development. Just to give you already an idea before we get into the video, I can give you, a few insights on our successful projects. So we have one, for instance, in Morocco, which is called H2O Maghreb project, which has established a high-level training hub to deliver market-oriented training in wastewater treatment and water management, which effectively targets SDG 6. The mismanagement of water resources and wastewater resources is a major challenge in Morocco, but in the Maghreb region overall as well, due to its population growth and precipitation decline. Our H2O Maghreb project had already 75% of their first batch graduates employed within 6 months after their training was concluded, and we believe that this is highly due to our strong collaboration with the private sector, which translates into students that acquire the most required skills by private companies to create more and better jobs. Also, not to mention that out of those 75% of trainees who joined the first 3 intakes were actually female. An even more remarkable figure, knowing that only 1/4 of young women in Morocco from rural areas are economically active. Another super active project of our own, under the LKDF umbrella, that is worth mentioning today is Zamita Zambia. Zambia is one of the youngest countries in Africa, with 36.7% of their total population being between 15 and 35 years old. Zambia therefore faces a seriously threatening challenge with youth unemployment. So UNIDO, by fostering skills development in transportation, mining and construction sectors, has helped Zambia bolstering youth employment in these key sectors, ensuring equipment for food production. After just 2 years from inception, Zamita has already attracted 680 students, with numbers that keep growing by the day. I would also like to point you to another project of ours in Ethiopia, where we're actively engaged with the government and other stakeholders through our Misale project. In 2017, the Training Institute for Commercial Vehicle Drivers, the Misale, was established to create jobs in commercial vehicle driving and address the shortage of skilled labor for transport enterprises. The Training Academy provides a 5-year training program for 40 regular trainees annually. It also provides short-term modular training for approximately 480 drivers from various companies. So the stakeholders from the private sector work together to formulate a curriculum according to their needs, while the government develops the regulations and certifications for the trainers and students. This collaboration model and experience gained, particularly in management, is then shared with other schools, which contributes to improving the quality of the overall TVET system in Ethiopia. More successes, as mentioned, can be found in other countries, including Uganda, Somalia, Liberia, and much more. So for now, I leave you to watch this short video to celebrate some of our beneficiaries. And I would actually like to re-invite you to pose your questions in the comments below, or send them to our email address outlined in the info box to know more and discuss some synergies and opportunities for collaboration. See you in a bit. I hope you have enjoyed our short video and to know more about our impact on the SDGs in this decade of action. We really believe that we all need to get together to make sure that we will achieve the 17 SDGs and their targets by 2030. As the main theme of these virtual skills fairs is the impact on or the engagement of South-South and triangular cooperation, we would also like to show you some of our ongoing activities in that regard. As we mentioned, so the LKDF is quite big on monitoring and evaluation, as we want to be able to track results, collect all the knowledge, lessons learned and best practices from all our projects, and evaluate them to make sure that we can grow our projects at scale. So allowing them for scalability and long-term sustainability. To do so, our teams in the field collect, store, and analyze data on trainees. A key feature of this system is that information is shared between the LKDF and its projects, as I just mentioned. So the projects submit biannual reports and midterm evaluations and measure the most wanted return on investment and social return on investment. Then our LKDF team is therefore responsible for the project and country baseline reports, field visit reports, and midterm and final evaluations on an overall analysis. So what we do, we evaluate the program's scale and sustainability in terms of results-based learning and knowledge development to measure the project's contribution to reducing youth unemployment and the overall skills jobs mismatch. We also provide transparent data that demonstrate the program's cost effectiveness and justify expansions into other countries or sectors. Such knowledge sharing component helps to ensure scalability and cross-country transfer of knowledge and good practices. So to give you a few examples, let me talk about a project that started in Morocco. This project called AGVEC, it's a heavy-duty equipment and commercial vehicles academy established in Morocco in partnership with Volvo. AGVEC was able to extend its training program to 600 students from Côte d'Ivoire, Morocco, and Senegal. So UNIDO counterparts in Côte d'Ivoire and Senegal coordinated with the local private sector to recruit students. The partners were the ones designing the integrated career support service to help trainees better define their professional objectives and support graduates in their job search. By now, the Academy facilitated over 500 internships with more than 62 host companies, which is quite the achievement if you think about it. I would also invite you to look into our website project dedicated page to learn more about these projects and their continued work and achievements. UNIDO has also improved regional collaboration on forestry and wood industry education in the Southern Africa development community, which has led to green employment and sustainable forest management and use. The first training was piloted in South Africa with the goal of replicating the training approaches in Malawi, Zambia, and Zimbabwe. In fact, it was in 2020 that our colleagues started the discussion with other countries, and they're now extending their services to Zambia as of this year already. As mentioned before, we have another very active project of ours, Zamita Zambia. Zamita stands for the Zambian Industrial Training Academy, which relies on innovations to improve training effectiveness and competitive advantages. Zamita employs simulators of the latest engine technology and Euro 6 emission trucks. It also uses different digital learning tools to ensure the appropriate level of competency. And the project has already increased employability for over 450 students in the transport and heavy equipment sector. Zamita is one of our greatest project addressing SDG 5, and they have a very strong focus on women in disadvantaged individuals and groups. And you can check them out across their social media channels to see how many incredible women were engaged in the Zamita activities and graduated from their training programs. The particularly collaborative approach of Zamita increased private sector involvement. And in 2020, an additional 6 partners have entered into memoranda of understanding with a career service center to guarantee a constant supply of skilled labor. Also, I mean, Zamita, as you might have seen from the video and the discussion now, has already achieved quite a great success. And thanks to their success, a similar project was also developed in Africa, in Liberia. Another project that we already mentioned before, H2O Maghreb. It's another project that provides curricula combining theoretical knowledge and hands-on experience using advanced digitalization such as virtual reality and automation technology. H2O Maghreb is a program preparing water professionals to respond to complex needs across municipalities, industries, and the agricultural sector. The project was initiated in Morocco and has now entered already a second phase with plans to replicate across the Maghreb region. So follow H2O Maghreb on our website and social media channels to learn how we're going to transfer knowledge and technology to the rest of the Maghreb region. Now I would like to get into what it's gonna be our future with the LKDF. So I mean, of course, summarizing 8 years of LKDF history wasn't really simple. And what I mentioned here so far is just a very small portion of what the LKDF is capable of and what we're doing so far, thanks to our interventions in different beneficiary countries and our teams in the field making this journey possible. But the LKDF, never really stops, and we keep moving, we keep growing, we keep engaging with partners and delivering services and creating activities to reduce the skills mismatch. So in 2020, with our counterpart in Sweden, SIDA, we started a discussion on how to scale up, how to increase, our impact, how to achieve a greater impact. So we're now looking to improve and strengthen our capacity to the highest level of sustainable impact across sectors, countries, and regions. So in 2020, we entered a new phase, which was called LKDF 2.0. So we're now into the LKDF 2.0 phase, and we're looking at scaling up and capitalizing on existing knowledge to be able to meet future needs. So what's next? We now wish to move towards a more systemic approach to provide a set of principles and frameworks to guide development projects in their design, implementation, and results from the measurement. The systemic approach has mainly emerged from private sector development with a focus on poverty reduction. However, it does not necessarily exclusively focus on markets in the economic sense. In fact, in a systemic approach, the market terms refers mostly to transactions more largely. So that would mean, for instance, schools providing, offering the supply, offering skills to young people that employers in the labor market needs, the demand. So improving those transactions is at the core of development efforts. And that requires a feasible and relevant vision that can be adopted by taking stock of the ongoing work we do and developing a realistic picture of how this will translate in the future once our projects are over. This approach can offer a lens through which we can best understand our role concerning partners and stakeholders, including poor and disadvantaged people. It can help think critically to become better in achieving large-scale and sustainable outcomes in economic, social, and political areas. But why do we want to adjust our approach? Don't we think that our current approach is already the best one we can offer? Well, the main issue is that development projects often do things on their own, trying to cure the symptoms instead of addressing the cause that led to development intervention in the first place. There is a fundamental need to rethink the way development actors operate. So in every system, there are actors and players, and as I said, our role is therefore to convene these actors to better perform their functions, as we started earlier on. A systemic approach gives us an analytical framework to understand the incentives, so the will and capabilities, the skills of the actors that we work with to take up new function or improve their performance. These actors should own the initiatives from the very beginning and improve it for better impact. So it's our role to make sure that especially the local actors have the capacity and the skills to carry on the intervention for even a greater impact. Therefore, innovative ideas supported and developed by projects should then be taken further by those who are part of the different systems, the local systems, the market systems, and not by the projects. For such reasons, we have embraced this new approach and decided to develop the LKDF by using the Market System Development Approach, or MSD. This approach will help us reduce poverty by transforming markets. So, as the poor are both producers and consumers of goods and services provided by the market, therefore, the markets need to effectively consider the poor when developing within. Second point, we want to make the impact of development projects long-term, because development projects are impactful as long as public interventions are secured. Therefore, behavioral changes need to reflect the incentives and capabilities of permanent players. 3, we want to engage with all market actors. Market players range from large investors to informal sector actors, including rules and policymakers. Therefore, multi-stakeholder and multi-level interactions need to be in place to provide adaptive development. 4, we need to identify the causes rather than the symptoms of market weaknesses. So we need to ensure a market analysis to not only focus on current problems, but on what caused the problems. Therefore, a cause-effect analysis is necessary to tailor interventions. And 5, we want to increase the impact with replication and crowding in. Development interventions do not always think beyond target beneficiaries, beyond what they have included in their concept. right? So therefore, incentives and opportunities need to predict the snowball effect and impact and the impact of new market conditions. So how many more beneficiaries could we actually have once the project has ended? So how do we help the local actors, the market actors, to take on the interventions, the project activities, and make them part of their usual, practices and behaviors. So we really hope, to move forward with you on our LKDF journey. And now I think I would actually like to ask you what your recommendations are for the LKDF. Is there anything you think we should do better? Is there anything you would like to suggest us to improve our work and generate even greater impact in this decade of action? Are there any suggestions in terms of partnerships? Would you like to get in touch with us? We would really like to have this kind of conversations with all of you today. And as I said before, I hope you are, putting all your questions in the comment box below, or sending them to our email address, which is also now indicated here in our final slide, as well as all our social media channels. Please get in touch. We want to hear from you and we want to work with you. So thank you very much for watching us today and for listening, for tuning up. And we hope to see you tomorrow. Thank you very much and enjoy the rest of the day. Bye.